let's talk about coronavirus. You know, the cases. You're in India. We hear about the news. It's the 7-day average in February in cases was 11,145 a day. The 7-day average right now, as of May 9th, is 389,000 cases a day. The 7-day average on death is nearly 4,000, 3941, right? And we're seeing the story. I'm mentoring, helping out with this one company in India. I sit on their board and I'm talking to them. And I said, what does it look like? He says, you don't even know how bad it is right now. They're in the capital where most of the COVID is taking place. Workers going home, nobody's buying, you know, there's a lot of fear there, right? Okay. So then a number comes out saying, well, Modi wasn't responsible. He said he's going to get more vaccines out. He didn't. Doesn't this validate, because the number that came out is India needs 1.2 million doses of vaccine shots, right? 1.2 billion. That's a big number, 1.2 billion. And there's only one place you can go to get 1.2 billion. And you know who that is. I mean, that's what a lot of people are talking about. It's China. Doesn't that kind of validate the power China has over the world, or you disagree with that?
I disagree, because we are the largest producer of vaccines, not China.
So if you're the largest producer
we became complacent, because by end of December and January of this year, 2021, it looked as if the corona is gone. And the Prime Minister went and boasted that I have solved the problem of corona. I've defeated them in the World Economic Survey, World Economic Conference, or whatever it's called, in Switzerland. And he, of course, it was online, but his speech, he said, I've solved this problem. I'm ready to assist any other country which also wants to solve the problem. And out of the blue, this second wave came, and we had forgotten. You see, there is a lot of, we are a democracy, so we got a lot of lobbies. And the British Oxford, AstraZeneca, or whatever it's called, they wanted it to be manufactured in India. There was an Indian company which was doing by a different route. They were producing these vaccines which are far safer, tested, and effective too. And I took that there. But originally, when the Prime Minister announced that the contract is going, he only announced this AstraZeneca vaccine produced in Pune. And now the owner has gone off to London and he's sitting there, because there have been so many, I mean, there must have been 200 deaths in that, whereas in this other one, Covaxin, produced entirely domestically, there has been hardly any. So we became complacent, and we are paying the price for that complacency. And this attempt to want to grab credit and then project yourself in the world, this weakness of politicians, you know, this is partly responsible, because nobody wanted to, as I utter a word of caution. I'm the Parliamentary Committee on Health, so I was the one who fought and got the Covaxin to be cleared on the same day. And now the government is putting all its faith in the Covaxin, because the other one is, you know, we don't know where it is. When the owner himself has gone away to Britain, we don't know what's going to happen. So yes, we are behind. We are responsible for what happened. In a matter like oxygen, I'm surprised a country like India not being able to supply oxygen, because we didn't make arrangements, because oxygen requires a lot of, you know, trucking and transportation and cylinders and so on. And none of that was being thought of. Just having enough oxygen is not enough.
So you're saying, as far as the vaccine goes, India doesn't at all rely on China for any of the vaccine, because you can produce, you're the largest manufacturer. What does India rely on China with? Because if there's one thing India did in the last 12 months, you guys banned TikTok, all these apps. I think on 1 week, it was 100 apps that were fully banned of China and India, which I applaud for them to take that position, because nobody else is willing to take that position. A lot of people are scared. Trump almost did something where he forced them to want to sell TikTok, but, you know, it was kind of confusing how that ended up taking place. What does India rely on China with? And if it's nothing, how does India view China? Does India view China as an ally, or does it view as the, number one enemy it faces?
Well, first of all, let me start with your last point. Chinese have crossed a mutually agreed line of actual control. We drew a line in 1993 saying that there are disputes on whose land is whose land, and we will, take the present situation, the status quo, and we'll draw a line where there's no disputes. And in that, the Chinese got a big chunk of Kashmir, the part of Kashmir, which is now called a separate state called Ladakh. But over the period of the previous government, they had been silently coming into our land. And this continued even after we came to power. Now, I do not know whether the Prime Minister knew about it. I can't believe that he wouldn't have known. He had 18 meetings one-to-one with Xi Jinping. One-to-one. Either in India or in China, turn by turn. And suddenly out of the blue, we come to learn that they have come and occupied our land. And it's about 2,000 square kilometers. And now they are, they are increasing their forces. I think they are thinking, I don't know whether they got a date, but they're certainly going to have another attack. And the attack was actually by the Chinese aimed at eliminating India from the global map. That we are number two. I mean, we are in the second category of nations, not in the first category. The first category is only United States and China. And India is waffling because we are not able to, we have been brainwashed earlier that we should be non-aligned. Non-aligned with what? With whom? And we should have a clear policy that today the weapon systems are the best in the United States. We don't want US troops in India because our troops are sufficient to deal with China. But we certainly need the weapon systems that the US is willing to give. Certainly, I would like to see your F-35 being given to us. You gave it to Turkey, I think. But I don't know what is the magnet. The Indians have decided to sign a contract and pay 100,000 crores to the Russians for S-400. Now, S-400's electronics are entirely Chinese. Second, I don't know whether the world realizes the Russians, in effect, are a junior partner of China. They can't go against China. They are bankrupt and the Chinese have been financing them. And so, therefore, today we need clarity. We can defeat the Chinese. We have the weapons. We have the wherewithal to engage in warfare, because the logistics is in favor of India. The Chinese have to come from a long distance and through Tibet and then cross a mountain, then come down. So we can defeat them. And in fact, in hand-to-hand combat, we have already defeated them. But the fact is now it's going to be the weapon system. And we need to therefore have a clear understanding of the United States. The main problem with the Indian politicians is we are too emotional. If you praise them, they think, oh, we are now arrived, we are the greatest in the world. Whereas the Americans are all practical people. I've lived with them. I know everything is give and take. What's in it for me, or what I'll give you and what I want from you. Now, that kind of language you should speak to the Americans. And Americans, I know, want to give up some. They want to give up some of their. They want to give up some of their responsibilities in, say, the Indo-Pacific. I think we are in a position to take it. Tomorrow, if India and Indonesia came together, the Chinese won't be able to go through the Malacca Strait. They can't come from their eastern coast and go to the west, because we can stop them there. So we have that kind of thing. But the Chinese are very hardworking people. They have got the Sri Lankans on their side. They have got the Bangladeshis on their side. All our neighboring countries are today, if they are not pro-Chinese, they certainly don't want to annoy them. We are in a terrible situation.
So if you like this little short clip from an interview I did, click over here to watch the entire interview. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.